this episode, we are going over water filtration. The reason why I wanted to do this is because I carry these things around wherever I go, and they're small. I have a certain one that I carry, and it can not only get water from pretty much streams or, moving water or whatever. And I have another one that I just got that I've used recently, which is freaking fantastic. But that you can hook up to your home. I don't know why you'd want to hook it up to your home unless, I don't know, there's an emergency situation or something like that. Or you didn't have your own filtration system at your house. But I use it when I go out of town. So in any hotels, I know I don't stay in hotels too much, but I wish I had this in the Marine Corps, because going out to Southeast Asia, Philippines, Thailand, and I know it's been said down like in Mexico, don't drink the fucking water. And there's a reason why you don't drink the fucking water. And I drank the water, and I'm telling you, man, you haven't been sick until you drank bad water. That shit is fucked up. I know all of you guys out there that did that shit know what the hell I'm talking about. So I wish I had this kind of thing back then, because you can hook it up to faucets, you can hook it up to hoses. It pretty much attaches to anything. There's a lot of different things out there. Mostly if you look under survival water filtration or whatever, you'll see this stuff in a lot of ads. So I'm going to bring up the one that I use. I've tested a bunch of them, and there's one that I really like a lot. And I'm also going to go over the whole how to make your own expedient water filtration with activated charcoal. Obviously, I know everyone's heard about activated charcoal, but what is activated charcoal? How the hell do you get activated charcoal? It's a long process, so I'm going to touch on that. I'm not going to really go into super detail, but I'm going to let everybody know how to do that if that's what they want to do. And then the water filters that I use, and obviously the iodine stuff, because I was like, when I was thinking about what to say for this episode, I was like, I wonder if they still have that iodine shit around that we used in the Marine Corps, and I looked it up, and they do. And everybody says the same thing. It's like, it turns the water fucking orange, and it tastes like shit. And not to mention, this is one thing they never told us in the Marine Corps, you can't do that for long term. Iodine will fuck you up. And I looked up all the symptoms or after effects or whatever you want to call them of taking water treated with iodine over an extended period of time. And hell no, I'm not doing that. Fuck that. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because of all the shit that's happening now. You look down at LA, they're already deploying the Marine Corps down there. And I'm telling you, they just deployed them out tonight, and the Marines are going to take care of business down there. I'm telling you that right now. So, I don't want to get political or nothing like this in this podcast, but that's the Marine Corps being deployed down there, and those boys ain't going to play. So, you want to riot and everything and challenge the Marines. They said they were going to attack the Marines. Good luck with that. I don't know, everybody that I've been talking to that I know that's a Marine, we're all wishing, man, I wish I could get back in the Marine Corps right now and go down there and volunteer. I'll just fucking volunteer. Just give me a freaking 16, and I probably don't even use 16s anymore, whatever they use. I don't give a shit, man. If it has a trigger and some freaking rounds in it, I'm there. No problem. No problem. So those guys are going to take care of business down there. Guarantee you that. So anyway, getting a little bit off topic, but I had to say that because, shit, man, Marine Corps, hoorah. So anyway, that's about it. So let's get into water filtration. Right on. All right, well, where do we start? So I'm going to start with what you want to filter out. And the things that you want to filter out are going to be, a few categories of those. There's bacteria, there's protozoa, there's viruses, there's chemicals, there's heavy metals, and there's odors. Pretty much all the filters on the market today will filter out bacteria and protozoa. The filter specifications on those are under the NSF 244 or P231. And there's also an ultraviolet way of doing that too, and that's NSF 55. Usually filters with 0.1 microns are pretty much moderately effective, they say. I don't know. Most of the filters out there that are like that filter out, I think that they usually say 99.999 whatever percent of these things. So I guess something could get through, I guess. But there's also, boiling is a great way to kill off pretty much all that stuff right away. But again, man, you don't want to be boiling water every single time you want to drink water either, because that's a whole process in and of itself. And if you're in an emergency situation and you're on the go, you're not going to be able to do that. So protozoa, same specifications as the bacteria, and then there's viruses. So with viruses, I did a lot of research on this, and basically in the United States, there's not really a chance of getting viruses from waterborne, but I don't know if I believe that one. They're talking about viruses in third world countries and stuff like that. I can see that. Wherever you're getting water in America, it's supposed to not have viruses. Like I said, I don't know how that can be. So, but what you are looking for is the nanofilters that are out there now that will be able to filter out the viruses, and those are 0.001 micron, I believe. NSF 244, which is kind of the same thing as the bacteria and protozoa, so I don't know why those aren't rated to filter out viruses. The next ones that are on the line are chemicals, heavy metals, and odors. Now, chemicals, heavy metals, and odors are generally only going to be taken out using activated charcoal. Now I'm going to go over the process. So people have been making activated charcoal for a long time. So if you want to buy the stuff too, then go buy it and stock it up, and then you won't have to worry about actually making it. But I think it's a good idea to at least know how to make it, because if you don't have it around and shit hits a fan or whatever, these skills are gonna be good for you to know at least. So, and another aspect of having these water filters, I know a lot of hikers and camping and this guy, everybody thinks about that kind of stuff, but I use some of this stuff when I go to hotels because I don't trust the water. I use this stuff when I'm on the job because I work a lot on dilapidated houses on the Buffalo's west side, and I don't trust that water at all. I've worked on the pipes and I know what the fuck is in those things. So, if we've been having really, really hot weather, it's freaking brutal the last week out. I know in Buffalo, right? It's been brutal, and you can get dehydrated real quick. There's been a number of times I've just come home and just freaking collapse in bed, and I'm just out, and I've lost so much water and electrolytes and everything that it's killing you. So you can only go a couple days without water. And if you're not taking it, especially when you're sweating in the summer, when you're doing work outside or whatever, that's not an emergency situation, but you're just losing water, man. You got to keep hydrated. So having this stuff that I use in these places, not even emergency situations, I can take it anywhere. Like I said, I don't trust hotel water. I don't trust any place that is not my own house. Even sometimes in my own house, I'll put this stuff on if it looks funny or they're working on the road or whatever. But I'll always have this. So I'm going to go over the stuff that I've used, and we'll take it from there. So we're going to talk about charcoal right now, because charcoal, as far as water filtration, is probably one of the better ways to filter water. That is, if you have it, activated charcoal, that is. But first you got to make the charcoal. So there's a couple different ways to do this. You can make a clamp, which is an old way of doing it. It's basically burying a bunch of wood, starting on fire through a little tunnel that you cut out through the dirt, and burn the wood, and just you got to keep an eye on that kind of stuff. I'm not going to really go into that because there's better ways to do it, I think. One of the ways is to get a pot and put 3-inch chunks of your hardwood. Now it has to be hardwood. Don't get softwood. Don't get stuff that you get at Home Depot or whatever. This needs to be good solid wood. Apple, cherry, oak, hickory, whatever. Now there's a whole bunch of different reasons why to have charcoal on hand. Good charcoal. And if shit hit the fan and things went completely out of order, the fuel that you're going to want to have around is charcoal, because the only way to get the temperatures that you're going to need to do any kind of metallurgy, maybe get metals from ore. Charcoal is good for poison. It's activated charcoal is good for poison. There's all kinds of stuff. You can take activated charcoal for stomach aches. You can put it on, cuts and stuff like that, the snake bites, whatever. And it basically, activated charcoal, the surface area, because it's so porous, will cling. All the chemicals, all the poisons, all the heavy metals, whatever you're talking about, will cling to that. And it'll be, there is much, once you activate it and make this charcoal, it has more surface area than you think. Just so, and there's a whole science that you can look it up, but one of the best ways to make charcoal is, I think, get a big pot that you have a cover with. It's got to have a hole in the top. Put all your wood chunks in this thing and then set it basically in a fire. You got to keep the fire going. And this is going to max, I think, in a pot like that, you're talking about 3 to 5 hours. So that's what I've found to be right around, depending on how big the pot is, depending on how big the wood in it, how much wood you have. So once you have that, you put it on the fire. It's going to be billowing out smoke, and the smoke is going to first be like a bluish gray type. Once you start seeing the clear smoke come out, that's when it's pretty much done. Now be careful when you're taking it off the fire. Obviously you're going to have to let it sit there for a while and cool down, probably next day or something like that. Some people say they sprinkle with water. I don't know about doing that, because you don't want to soak the charcoal at this point either, because now you're introducing other chemicals. It'll take, if you soak it, it's going to take as long to dry out as it would if you just left it there overnight. So I would just leave it overnight. And that's basically how to produce charcoal, right? So the activating process is a little different, but you still have to have that base charcoal. You can even use bamboo. I keep on hearing bamboo. I keep on hearing coconut shells. Those are good alternatives if you have them. I mean, if you're on a tropical fucking island, right? But up here in Buffalo, I ain't going to find no bamboo. I ain't going to find no coconut shells anywhere unless I go to the store. And like I said, a shit at the fan, forget about going to the store, right? So hardwoods, you can get those out in the forest anywhere around here, or start stocking up on hardwoods or whatever. If you really want to get into charcoal production, just start taking some cutouts. You see people chopping down trees all the time. If it's hardwood, just grab some, man. And it's fun to do. It's kind of cool to do. So if you want to make a clamp, like I said, there's instructions on how to make a clamp. It's basically, you start out with a little like TP of wood, and inside of that wood you put fire starter, like paper, or I don't know, whatever you want to put in there, and then you kind of build up from that. You don't want to leave a lot of air space, because you don't want it to burn. You're not starting a fire, you're starting a smolder, basically. So, and then you keep on just building up on that. You put the bigger stuff up on that, and then you cover the whole damn thing with earth. But you leave a tunnel on the bottom so you can light the fire, light that paper inside, and then you leave basically a smokestack out the top, which is where all the smoke goes. And the problem with doing it this way is that you'll have, combustion sometimes inside, and you'll have, smoke leaking out the sides. You got to cover those up. You got to keep on constantly covering up with dirt, You might have a flame breakout. You want to kill that real quick, because you let your wood in your clamp combust, and your whole thing is going to end up in a bunch of ashes. So, and you don't want ashes. Ashes are useless. So, like I said, I'd get a big pot or something like that with a cover, poke a hole in it, whatever, if you're just going to use it for this, and use that. It's probably easier. But But you just have to make sure you keep on the fire. You got to keep that fire going for 3 to 5 hours. So you're going to be tending to it. So don't think you're just going to walk away from it and come back the next day and there's your charcoal. This is it's not an intensive process, but it's a time-consuming process, and you're going to have to stick with it. All right? So now let's talk about activated charcoal. So we just talked about how to make charcoal, and that's a pretty cool process. So, and like I said earlier, charcoal can be used a whole bunch of stuff. That's going to be the fuel of the shit hits fan type scenarios. If the stuff is shut down, stuff like that or whatever, this is the fuel that you're going to get. A lot longer burn time, a lot hotter. It can be used for all kinds of stuff. Gunpowder, if anybody wanted to know how to do that, you can find that online. There's only, ground up charcoal and then 2 other components. You have your gunpowder, right? If you wanted to know that anyway. So how do you make activated charcoal? So the first thing you're going to have to do is take this charcoal and grind it up. You've got to mash it up into fine powder. The smaller you can get it and the finer you can get it, the better it's going to be. All right, because the science behind making activated charcoal is basically, if you have a piece of lump charcoal, whatever, and it's 3 by 3, the square area, whatever, the surface area of that, all 4 sides or whatever, however shape it is going to be small, right? Maybe, 9 square inches, 13, something low, whatever dimensions your charcoal. I'm not doing math. But when you activate the charcoal, when you go through this whole heating process, I'm going to tell you that in a minute. When you go through this whole heating process with a compound that I'm going to tell you how to mix it with, it opens up all kinds of little microscopic pores and cracks, and it stresses out the whole charcoal, and it gives each little grain so much more area, and it's the equivalent of like a football field for maybe like an ounce. It's just ridiculous how much square footage that this little piece of grain has to soak up chemicals, heavy metals, odors, all kinds of shit, right? Poisons, whatever. So that's why activated charcoal, it's used in filters, because it soaks up all this stuff, right, that regular charcoal can't do. So anyway, once you have that all ground to a powder, doesn't matter how you do, just grind it all down in a bowl and pestle or whatever, a pilon. Just grind it down, grind the fuck it down. Come up with your powder, then take calcium chloride. Now, calcium chloride is basically that heating salt that you use on your driveway. There's all kinds of stuff to do that you can use with it. One of the things that I heard about, but I didn't know this was what they used in the Marine Corps, and I don't remember this being anything that we used when I was in. I remember us heating up MREs and stuff like that with C4, which obviously we weren't supposed to do, right? But apparently, like some of those meals that they have now, you just add water and it heats it up. And I never knew how the hell they did that. And that was basically calcium chloride. You can use this stuff for, mixing it with your food once you add water, especially if you have those, freeze-dried meals or something like that. You just add water to them. And when calcium chloride gets in contact with water, it heats up. Right, that's how it melts your driveway. So you can get 50-pound bag for $100 online. Make sure it's food grade. But that's a cool thing that you can use with it. I'm gonna probably stock up on this after I heard that you can actually make meals with it. I'm gonna try doing that. My daughter freeze dries stuff, so I'm gonna have her freeze dry some stuff and throw some calcium chloride in there, see what I can do to heat it up, if it actually works or not. So that's just a cool little off-topic thing, but. Anyway, so what you want to do is mix by weight an equal amount of that ground up charcoal to an equal amount of calcium chloride. Grind this all up in a bowl and make sure every little speck of ground up charcoal has calcium chloride attached to it, because this is what's going to stress the charcoal out when it heats it up. And that's why it opens up the pores, cracks, all the stuff that I was just talking about. And that's what soaks up all your chemicals, heavy metals, odors, all the rest of that shit. So that's what you're going to want to do. Now, there's some places online that say mix the calcium chloride with water first, and then they say watch out because it heat up, and then once it's done, then you pour it on it. But all you just completely fucked up your whole heating process, because now it's done, and you pour it, you got wet charcoal. That doesn't do shit. The heating process is the key to making activated charcoal. So once you do that, make sure you put it in like a Pyrex container. When you have that mixture of calcium chloride and charcoal together, all powdered up, and it should turn gray basically. Put it in a glass container. Once you have that all mixed up in that bowl, you're going to want to use 3 times the amount of water by weight as you did for your calcium chlorides. So if you used 1 ounce of calcium chloride, you would use 3 ounces of water, right? It's not the whole mixture of calcium chloride and the charcoal, it's the calcium chloride. So again, if you use 2 ounces of calcium chloride, which meant there was 2 ounces of charcoal, mashed up charcoal, 2 ounces of calcium chloride times 3 is 6, so 6 ounces of water, right? So you take that water, you dump it into the bowl, and this is where it's going to get hot. So be careful, it's going to get hot. Like, I think it's like almost 1400 degrees or some shit like that. It's fucking crazy. It can burn you. So be very careful, but you're going to want to mix that up, and eventually it'll stop doing what it's doing. And then you're going to want to take another bowl. I would always use glass for this. I know they say you can use aluminum after the fact, but I'd rather use all glass, because and make sure they're washed and everything. And another thing, when you're using water, make sure it's don't use tap water. Use distilled water. All right, you can get gallons of that at any supermarket for real cheap anyway, so have that stuff around. And again, distilled water can be used for a whole bunch of stuff. You can use it for nasal flushes and stuff like that. They recommend distilled water. So there's a whole bunch of other uses that I won't get into right now. I like to have stuff around that has multiple purposes, not just stock up shit that has one purpose. So that defeats the whole point of, if you're really prepping, then you want multiple use stuff, right? So once you get that all mixed and everything, and it kind of dies down with the heat and everything, you keep on mixing it, whatever, you're going to want to dry that stuff out, but you're going to want to filter out some of the water. So take another bowl, you can put cotton cloth, bed sheet, shirt, whatever. Make sure it's clean. Make sure it hasn't been washed in a heavy detergent or nothing like that. Make sure you hand wash it in water. Even if you got a new one, you're going to want to wash that shit out, because you can smell some of the chemicals when you buy new material in the stores. So put that over the bowl and basically dump out your solution, right? So the water will go into the bowl. You'll also have a bunch of really small granules of activated charcoal fall in through the water and go through your filter. That's even the finer activated charcoal at this point. So you might want to collect all that and put it in a separate container when you're storing it, because this is super high grade activated charcoal, even better than the other stuff, because it's so fine, and it can, even the smaller it is, the more it can, it's weird, it's the smaller it is, the more it can absorb. So anyway, you dump all that stuff out, and what you can do to get that smaller stuff that fell in with the water is take a coffee filter now and filter that stuff out, and it'll mass up on the coffee filter. You put it all out, you let it dry. It'll probably take overnight. You want to maybe smooth it out and stuff like that, so it's not thick, and then it'll never dry, right? Well, it will dry eventually. So once you get all that and it's all dried out, it tends to clump up, so you're gonna have to break it down. Again, it comes in like, put your powder, put it in a storage. And again, at this point, whatever you want to store it in, you can look online. Once you have the activated charcoal, then you can start making filters with it. Hour-a-day type thing that you're gonna want to use is, I use this one right here, and here's one of my water bottles. So this is the Sawyer filter, and basically this can attach right to a water bottle. Not all water bottles, because some of the real cheaper ones, doesn't it's attached to this one. This one it does. It'd flow. Here's what you suck the water out of, right? Put it in here like this. You can fill this up with water from a stream or something. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Do that, and you can drink right out of it. And you get clean water, right? So there's also, that comes with this, is a squeeze bag. You can fill it, same idea as this. So you can fill this with water, I don't know, from wherever, and do the same thing with squeeze it out. It doesn't, you know, I'd rather have this than this because this can break. The only thing with these is you can also do this too. So if you just carry this around, you can stick this right in a puddle or something like that, and you know, suck right out of the puddle if you want to. If you really come down to it, if you don't want to carry this. But the only problem that I've seen with this kind of filter is you need to back flush it a lot, and I've seen that since I do use these on the job site, and there's another one that I use at the job site which I like as well too. But you have to fill this up with water and basically put this right on here and back flush it, and you have to do that kind of quite often, so that kind of sucks. But this filter, this thing is awesome, and I've used it extensively. The other one that I carry that I just recently got within the last year is the one you can hook up right to a water tap or a garden hose or whatever, right? This is the one that I carry when I go on job sites. The Buffalo's West Side, you know, if I'm drinking water out of the faucet, I'm drinking it out of this. I'm not, fuck that. I'm not drinking that water just like it is. So this is the attachment that you put right up into the faucet, and you know, we turn the water on, it comes right out here. And then you can fill up a water bottle or whatever. These are different attachments to different size spigots or faucets or whatever. There's a whole bunch of different ones. There's 1, 2, 3, you know, and then it has the clamp that you can tighten down. You know, if you want to make it a little bit more permanent or whatever, I just stick this up in the faucet and it comes out with clean water, and you can taste the difference. I'm telling you right now, you can taste the difference. And I've used a lot of filters, so I recommend this one for just carrying around. I carry this one around actually with my first aid kit as well too, so it's always there. Plus, this thing can be used as an irrigation, doubles as irrigation. So if you you know, get cut up or whatever, you need some, you know, field stitching or something like that, you can use this as well to irrigate your wound. So I like stuff that has multiple purposes, because I don't like carrying a lot of stuff. And if you can narrow down some of your gear that has multiple purpose to it, then you can get rid of some of the other stuff too. And in episodes that are going to be coming up, we're going to be talking about go bags and stuff like that and what to carry. So that's one thing that you can use, multiple uses for this thing. So yeah, for on the go water filtration, this is the one I recommend. All right, so one of the last things I really want to mention is a filter. I don't have it. I really want to get it. It's expensive, so at this point, probably going to save up for it because it seems like a pretty decent filter. So I haven't not used this, but this is the one that I have seen out there, and I've seen reviews of it. I've seen a bunch of different working examples of it, and it's the MSR Guardian series filters. These are the ones that you can actually lay filter on a hose into a river, puddle, whatever, and it basically it's a pump. So you pump all the water up, and you can fill up a big carryable type portable water with you. So it's nicer. It's kind of a bigger version of the Sawyer ones that I use, because those are mainly for on-the-go type stuff, so emergency type stuff. This is actually if you were settling down somewhere, or if you were sheltering in place and you needed a source of some water, you could actually use these kind of filters to provide water for more than just yourself. And it's one of the only filters that can actually filter out viruses as well too, so that's pretty good. I'm going to try to get one of these things and test that out. But other than that, I really want to touch on the actual DIY filters that you can do. So like I mentioned before when I was talking about activated charcoal, you can use any kind of container. Like I said, any water bottle like this or whatever. turn this thing upside down. I got water in it right now, so I'm not going to turn it upside down. Cut the end out, and that's what you're going to dump the water in. You want an equal amount, like about 3 inches would be good, and you want it all the way around. You don't want to. I've seen some plans that wrap activated charcoal in material or whatever, and then stuff it down there so it doesn't, so it doesn't fall out the end. But the problem is that you're going to get some bleed through of the water that you're trying to filter through that material. So what you can do is plug up this opening end of it. I've seen cotton used, and you can actually use a material like an old shirt or something like that and fit it right over the top of this and duct tape around it. That way you won't lose any of your activated charcoal. Stuff this with 3 inches of activated charcoal, 3 inches of sand or the equal amount of sand, and you don't want industrial type sand, maybe from a beach. Maybe if you get sand from a beach, if you had to, wash it off thoroughly, wash it down, and then on top of that sand you would put a layer of gravel to catch your bigger stuff, not big chunks of rock or nothing like that, to try to get some small gravel. And then you filter your water through it. So that would be your DIY filter. So anyway, I'm going to talk about the iodine stuff. Blah, 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 blah. So that's about it. So let's get into Walter. So that's about it. Let's get into Walter, what the fuck, man? So anyway, that's about it. So let's get into water filtration. Right on.